Hey everybody, welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. And if you haven't subscribed yet, if you could hit that subscribe button or give me a like, I'd really appreciate it. We are growing over here. Okay, today what I have planned is coastal 4th of July decorations. So I have like a coastal farmhouse theme in my house, and I like to give that same beachy vibe to most of my decorations, and I'm going to do that today with some patriotic decorations that are also beach themed. So my idea is to make a flag out of all of these little frames that I got at the Dollar Tree. So they're kind of like little box frames with these little home pop-outs. And I was able to get 6 of them, all the same, and I thought that would make a really cute flag. Now, I've been trying to brainstorm for weeks about what I could texturize them with. I really wanted them to have texture, and I was having a lot of trouble finding something from the Dollar Tree that had texture that would work in these little frames. And that's when I was in the toy department, and I found these little Lego base plates that are 5 by 5, and they fit perfectly into these little frames. So I was so excited to find that. I got 5 of the little Lego plates and 6 of the frames. I want to do the top left corner as a flag theme, and I would like that to be a different texture. So I'm just popping out the little home plate on all of those and leaving the back surface. And then I thought this might work for the star part. It is a peel and stick. It kind of looks like a wood tile. I guess you could use for your wall. So I'm trying to cut out a piece of that. And I think that might work to give me like a different vibe for the top corner. I'm going to paint all of it. So just kind of seeing if that'll work. I cut it the same size as the Lego blocks that fit in there almost perfectly. And that's when I could tell a little bit of the flower design peeking out along the sides. And so I'm trying in vain to see if I can paint really neat and not get any on the frame. But I don't know how people do it, but it's not me. I have to tape it or it's going to be a mess. So I'm just going around with painter's tape from the Dollar Tree and taping off the frame, and then just giving a very thin coat of my ivory chalk paint along the edges, and I do that 5 times. So there we go. I got it all painted, and then halfway through that I was like, there's very little that you could see. If I would have went around the edges with like a white paint pen, gosh, that would have been so much easier. But live and learn. Okay, so I'm just cleaning that all up, and then I want to make the little white Lego plates, the like American flag, red and white striped. So I'm going to use this painter's tape from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to paint off some stripes. These are going to be my top 2 plates, so I'd like them to be the same, so I'm just going to line them up next to each other. And I'm going to use this Crimson Waverly chalk paint from Walmart. And the foam brush totally did not work to get in on that Lego plate for all that texture. So I have to go in with a brush with bristles. And 1 coat is basically all it takes. I was happy to find white. So it was pretty easy to paint over. But it is available like in all different colors. I was just thinking, how could I get better texture than this? This is going to give me great texture. And that's what I kept thinking with this project. I want to do a flag, but I want to do a flag with texture. So those are my top 2 plates. And just cleaning up my mess there. And now I can do my bottom 3 plates. So I'm going to kind of continue that red stripe from the top, which was like 2 rows along the top of the bottom 3. And then I'm going to use just a piece to space it and then tape off on the bottom there. So I'm going to give another like 1.5 stripes. And my painter's tape from the Dollar Tree is kind of wide, so that kind of determines the width of my stripes, but I think it works. So I'm just giving 1 coat of that red crimson chalk paint on all of my flag pieces. And I kind of have a rustic, vibe in my house, so I don't care if it's like perfectly painted. It's not really going to be with all the texture and the painter's tape, but close enough. And I think that turned out really good. So next up is my star part I want to do for the top left corner. And I am going to use this agave chalk paint by Waverly. Since I have a coastal theme, I use this color a lot in my house. And I think it's a fun take on 4th of July to customize it to my house. So you can always use, like the navy or the royal blue. But I dried that with my dryer and it melted. So this stuff cannot withstand heat at all. So here I am again. I cut another piece out the same size. And this time I'm going to paint it with this agave, and I am not going to use any heat. I'm going to set it aside and let that dry on its own. The chalk paint dries pretty fast anyway. And these Lego plates can handle heat. So I'm using my super hot glue gun, and I am just gluing all of those base plates down. And now I think we got a good dry, and I'm afraid to use any hot glue because of the heat situation. So I'm just going to use some tacky glue because that was actually hollow inside to make sure that sits down. And then I'm just going to peel and stick that to the back of my frame. Just touching up around the edges there to make sure you can't see any flowers. And here I'm going to go through and I want to bring out that texture. So I'm going to go in with my ivory chalk paint by Waverly and just kind of go over those little Lego bumps to show that texture, to make it really noticeable. I don't want it to look like, just Legos on my wall. Even though that'd be really cute, like in a playroom or a kid's room. But I want this for the main part of my house, and I really want to bring out that texture. So just kind of a dry brush of the ivory chalk paint, and then I'm going back over it with just a baby wipe to take away some of the paint where I think there's too much. And you know me, I like to distress everything. So I'm distressing the agave blue part too. And I have my flag there. Now, I was thinking, is this going to be my final? I couldn't decide if I liked it like this or not. But for my star, I decided to use a starfish. I got these 3 packs of starfish from my Dollar Tree recently. They had a lot of beach decor. And since I can't use hot glue, I'm going to use some of this super glue just to glue this starfish down. And I think that really looks cute with the coastal vibe. But then I was I think I need something more. So I have this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I thought that would be another interesting texture to maybe make the white stripes with, to make it with the coastal rope. So it's kind of thick. I'm trying to cut through there with my Dollar Tree scissors and peel the little tape off the end. And it looks like, I could do 1 row, would be 2 ropes. So I'm going to try that. First of all, I got some more powerful scissors because it took a lot to saw through this rope. And that's what I do. I cut 2, and I kind of like that. I think it gives the rest of the frames a coastal vibe. And it's another whole texture. So now we have the rope texture, the bumpy texture. We have the tile texture. We have the texture of the starfish. And so I really like that. So it takes about 4 of those to do a frame. And so I am going to take this nautical rope, and there we go. I'm going to cut out 4 for each frame. And since the Lego plates can handle the heat, I'm going to go in with my hot glue gun and just put down a line of hot glue and glue down one of my ropes. And I don't care that the edges are a little frayed. I think that actually adds to the coastal vibe of the sign. And so I am just going to go through And I am going to glue down all of the ropes to my little flag sign. And I wasn't super happy with it up until this point, but the rope was definitely the touch that I think it needed. And I really like how this turned out. Took a lot of hot glue, but I just learned I could do 2 rows at a time there and put 2 down at a time. And that totally sped things up. And I'm just going to leave the frames that natural wood. I think that goes with the coastal vibe. And I was trying to decide, I have hangers on the back of these, if I wanted to hang them all separately or if I wanted to put them together as one big giant art piece. And the frames were extremely square. So I was like, you know, I think I can probably do this. Maybe with some help of like some popsicle sticks to help the structure. I could make one big, large print. Just turning them over and seeing if they'll line up properly, making sure I get my starfish on the right side, which is actually the left side, and seeing if that would probably work. And I think it would. And so I'm going to go for the one large frame. It'll make it easier to hang or to sit if it was one piece. So I'm just using hot glue, and I am just attaching the top and bottom. They're pretty lightweight, so I think hot glue is going to hold up here. And then I'm just doing hot glue to connect the sides once I have the 3 pieces. And I'm just going to glue those all together. And this part was way easier than I imagined. I think it's because my frames were so square and everything lined up perfectly. And then I'm going to use these medium-sized popsicle sticks from Walmart. And I am just going to glue those along the back structure at the seams to give it more stability. And I had to cut down some of those. They're super easy to cut with just scissors. And I am doing all of my seams with the popsicle sticks. And I left the hanger on there so I can hang it. But look, it also sits on its side. And I love how it turned out. Okay. Up next, I'm going to use this chalkboard from the Dollar Tree, these 2 mop heads from the Dollar Tree, some knobs from Walmart, and a random piece of wood I had laying around, and a starfish. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to take the little rope off my sign. I'm going to try to make a coastal Uncle Sam gnome is my idea. So it's really hard to find any like square or rectangular signs at Dollar Tree right now. So the only thing I could really find was this chalkboard, but I think it is the perfect size. And I'm just using some Goo Gone there, trying to get that tag off the back. I think I'm going to actually decorate the back. And I'm thinking this rectangle shape would be great for Uncle Sam's hat. So I am just using some ivory chalk paint by Waverly, and I've been working on this bottle for a while. It's like the very end. I'm trying to get every drop out of there, and I'm just going all over with one coat of that ivory chalk paint, and I'm going over everything because it was black, and I think that's going to be easier to paint color over than the black. And so I did finally finish that off. So here is a new bottle of my ivory chalk paint by Waverly. And I am going over and giving a second coat of the chalk paint and a dry. And I could have done the front of the chalkboard, but I thought it might be more consistent and like the writing wouldn't show through if I did the back. So that's why I'm doing the back of the sign. And then I needed a long piece of wood for like the brim of Uncle Sam's hat. And I just had this random piece of wood laying around. It's the bottom of a Valentine's Day sign that fell apart this year. And I saved it, and I'm glad I did because I was having trouble finding something. But I know like Dollar Tree does sell like the little signs that are long and skinny like that. So sometimes you just got to use whatever you have. So that is what I'm going to use. And I gave that a coat of the ivory chalk paint as well. And I've got pretty good coverage on the rectangle now. So I'm just going to use a piece of painter's tape to space out a line. And I am going to do stripes. Going up and down the hat, I'm going to do flag stripes. So I'm just going to do red and white. So I'm going to use this crimson chalk paint by Waverly. I'm going to be using the same colors on all of our projects today to make it really cohesive and go together nicely. So one coat of the crimson chalk paint giving me my stripes. And then on the brim of the hat, I was thinking I want to do stars. Now, I have a Cricut, and I totally could have made stencils here, but I was trying to show that you could do this from Dollar Tree. So I got these stars from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to try to treat them just like I would treat my Cricut stencils. So I peeled off the back of the star stickers, and then I'm going to use just transfer paper. You could always just use masking tape or whatever you have, something that's not super sticky, to transfer the stars to my sign. I want to keep them, kind of all lined up and to kind of do a pattern along the hat there. So I'm kind of offsetting the stars, kind of like they would be on a flag. And this would have been a lot easier if I would have used my Cricut, because I didn't realize quite how sticky these stars are. I mean, it worked and you can do it, but it does require a lot of patience. And I think a star stencil or making stars on my Cricut, the vinyl would have been a little bit more removable. But here we go. So I am just lining those all up, and I just offset them a little bit. And I'm just using all of my Cricut techniques here to try to get those all on there. And then what I'm going to do, since I've already painted that part of this sign white, I'm going to paint blue over it to do the blue with the white stripes. But again, I'm going to use the agave blue because that kind of goes with the colors of my house. So I got all my stars on there. And I try to act quickly. I got to fix one there because I didn't want the stars to stick very much, but they actually did stick really. I don't know. Maybe my original ivory paint was not that dry. I'm not sure. But here I am going over with that agave chalk paint by Waverly. And I'm just leaving the sides and the ends red because, hey, that goes with the color of the sign. And it'll make the project a little bit easier. And here I am weeding. Now, it looks like I'm not struggling that much, but this is actually like 5 times speed. So I was. And whenever I went in with my little Cricut weeder, it was scraping the white paint off of the sign and leaving a little red. But luckily, I go for a rustic vibe, so I think it'll be okay. And it's just the stickers were really, really stuck on there. But I'm starting to get a rhythm here, and we got all the stars off. And then I'm just going to go over it, since it was banged up from that with the sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and rough that up a little bit. And your girl needed some Coke there. So our stripes on our hat are dry, and they look fantastic. And so that is going to be the hat of our Uncle Sam Gnome. And that is going to be the top of his hat, or the brim, I guess you would say. And my painter's tape did pull up some of the paint, and so I am trying to fix it here towards the bottom. And then it's going to be okay because, of course, your girl's going to distress it a little bit. So just trying to make that a little less obvious. And I didn't bring the stripes all the way down because I do have plans there for the rest of my Uncle Sam. And I'm trying to make sure that's dry before I move on. And then here I go in with that ivory chalk paint. And of course your girl distresses it because I like everything to be coastal, rustic looking. And then I'm going to go over that with my baby wipe and wipe off the excess. And I use these baby wipes from Dollar Tree for everything. I use them to get the paint off my hands. I use them to distress things constantly. I love them. And they work better than like a cleaning wipe that's going to take like all of the paint off. That's not what I want. Then I'm just going to go in with my sanding block from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to rough up the edges and make him look a little bit more rustic there. Okay, so I thought it would be really cute to use a knob for the nose. So it is actually a cabinet knob that I picked up at Walmart, and it was $1.97, I think, for two, so $1 for a knob. And I just need to use my drill to drill a hole in my sign so that I can attach my nose. Now, it really doesn't have to be this durable. You could always just glue it on, but I thought I would do it right. So I am going to drill a hole into my sign. I'm just eyeballing center, and I am going to attach the knob there, and the knob is going to be my little gnome Sam nose. So it comes with screws, but you know, it's probably to go through like an entire like cabinet or drawer. So the screws are way too long for this little skinny chalkboard. And I soon find that out after I screw it in there. And then I'm just like, whoa, 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 this is never going to work. So I go through my husband's stash of screws and I find a little short screw. And again, if you can't get that to work, like totally like hot glue or wood glue that thing on, it would totally be the same. And then I'm going to have like the brim of the hat come down over his eyes like I would on a gnome. And then I'm going to use these two microfiber mop heads from the Dollar Tree for his beard. I use these for my bee gnome that I did for my bee tier tray. And it gave a really nice gnome beard effect. So I thought that this would work well. And the width is perfect for my hat there. So I am just going to hot glue the left one down on one side of the nose, and I'm going to do the same on the right side. And I love how this guy turned out. It actually turned out really big too, like quite a good size. Now the back, I don't want the beard to be like separated into two parts. So I'm trying to find something that I can use. And this would be really lightweight. Is just I had some white cardstock and I'm just cutting that to size. And I'm just going to glue that with hot glue onto the back of my mop heads there, just to make sure that the two sides of the beard stay together. And this actually worked quite well. I was going to do a circle for the head, but then I realized that I didn't really need a head at all because most of his face is going to be beard and it can just be free hanging. And that was a good decision. I like that, the way that I structured this. Then I'm like, you know, he kind of looks like Santa. And Uncle Sam has more of a like pointy, I think, goatee type beard. So I am just using my scissors and I am cutting that more of an angle on the side and giving him more of a pointy beard. And this stuff does shed like crazy. Just do the best you can and trim it up. And I'm just kind of eyeballing the symmetry on the sides of the beard there and just trimming as I go. And then I think I'm going to have the brim of the hat come down and smush over where his eyes would be. I may have went a little too high on the beard there above his nose, because of course he's not going to have a beard above his nose, but I kind of need him to. So I'm just going to trim. I'm still trimming the sides to make sure it's even. And here I'm like, how much can I smush this down? That's when I realized it was probably a little too fluffy up there. And so I'm just giving him a little bit of a haircut on the top of his beard to make it where I can smash that down over where his eyes would be a little bit more. Don't want there to be a lot of space on top of his nose, just a little bit of space there. And I'm not going to do anything to the back of my wood sign there with the stars. It was kind of rough from being an old piece of decoration, and you're not going to be able to see it. And then I want it to go down even lower. So here I am trimming him again. That's why I'm saying I probably could have went down a little bit lower. I did want it to be on top of his nose, but only a little bit. I think that's going to work. And it's really hard to get this all in frame because this actually turned out really big. So I'm going to use wood glue from the Dollar Tree. And I went a little too crazy there. And I'm also going to use hot glue. That'll give me the long-term, short-term hold. And I'm just going to glue that on. And clean up some of my glue. I don't know what I was thinking going all the way to the sides. It didn't need to go quite that far. And this is where I'm kind of regretting the back of the sign. Looks pretty rough. I kind of like the back of my things to be more finished, but I think it probably was a good idea to work on the back just to get more of a solid color to paint those red and white stripes on. And I'm just kind of giving him a little trim around his nose to make sure that his nose is visible. And then I want to use like one of these starfish that I got in the 3-pack from the Dollar Tree and attach that to his hat somehow. But then I thought he needed something extra. So I got some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree and just cut a piece. And then it was a little too sheer. You could really see through it. So I think I'm going to double that up and just do that around the top or the bottom, I guess, of his hat. And I'm just going to attach that with hot glue, both layers, and I'm just going to wrap that around the base of his hat. And this step totally wasn't necessary, but I think it did give another texture, another little beachy vibe to my Gnome Sam. And then I'm just going to wrap that around and hot glue that to the other side of my hat. And I'm using one of those little silicone spatulas from the Dollar Tree. They're great for like trying not to burn yourself like crazy with the hot glue. And then I'm just attaching the same hanger that was on there before, just pushing it through and tying it back on. It's just twine to hang my Sam with. And then I have the rest of that ivory cardstock, and I'm like, I might as well just put this over the back, and it kind of covers some of the craziness going on in the back of my sign a little bit and makes me happy. So I just attached that with hot glue, and then the final touch is going to be that little starfish that I want to attach. And I think that turned out really good. I think that was the final little detail that definitely gives it a beach vibe. But trying to find a spot to hot glue was the thing. The middle didn't really touch, so I just hot glued the little legs down to the brim of the hat. And he is completed, and I absolutely love this project. So cute. Okay, final project. I got these 3 little just wood box signs from Dollar Tree, and I want to do a little display with some of these wooden shapes that I got from the Dollar Tree. I got sea turtles, starfish, and seahorse. So I'm like, why is that word escaping me? And I'm just kind of seeing, do I want 1? Do I want 2? 1's probably good. And I thought this would look really cute. Now, not all Dollar Trees had the beach stuff. I got it recently there. Only one of my like $5 trees had them. And I do live near the beach, so I don't know if you're going to be able to find them or not. But I love how this turned out. So I am going to paint one crimson, one ivory, one agave on the chalk paint that I got at Walmart by Waverly. And then I want to do patterns on them. So I'm going to use these star stickers again that I got at the Dollar Tree. And I did not like how they worked for Uncle Sam. So I am going to try to paint them. I've heard that you can paint them. And so that is what I'm trying to do. I'm going over them with chalk paint. I don't know if chalk paint was the right idea. I still struggled with this. Cricut would have still been easier, but I was trying to do this with just Dollar Tree stuff. So that's why I used the stickers. And so I painted a sheet of them ivory. I'm painting one of the boxes ivory. That was the easiest box to paint because it's already white, so the sides only needed one coat and a couple coats on top to cover up the pattern that was on there. And I'm just using my heat gun to give that all a good dry. Then I want to do this crimson color. I love this color. It is so bright and pretty. And then I'm like, ooh, that is going to be hard to cover up with red. So I'm going to go in with some of the white to try to cover up that pattern because that sign was really busy before I go in with the crimson. And I think that will make it take less paint. And then I'm going to peel off the back of my star stickers again. And I am going to try to paint these stickers the crimson color. And what I'm thinking is I want to do like red, white, blue, but I want to switch it up. So red and white would be stripes, but I want to switch it up. So I'm going to make them red with white stars, white with red stars, and the blue would normally be stars, but I want to switch it up, so I'm going to make that one stripes. So that's my plan, and I'm just going over and giving that a good coating of the crimson chalk paint until I have good coverage on the sign and my sheet of star stickers. This project probably involved the most painting. There was a lot of painting on this project, but I think they turned out really good. Okay, so my third block sign I want to do in this beautiful agave color. If you want to do more of a traditional flag blue, you do you. But I like how this goes with my house, and I've been using it on most of my nautical decorations, and I love how these three colors look together. I think that they complement each other really well. So I'm not going to do star stickers on this one. I am just going to do the box sign. And these signs are great for $1. They're all the same size, and it's going to make a really nice coordinating set for not a lot of money. So then I'm kind of deciding who gets which creature. And then I'm going to use some of this spackle from the Dollar Tree to fill in the holes because they were kind of like wood charms. And I don't want those holes to be in my little wood cutouts. And I'm going to go over my seahorse with the agave color. And I'm just kind of mixing and matching the colors to make them different than the sign they're on and make them complementary. And I'm going to make my sea turtle ivory. And then I'm trying to decide, oh yeah, I want to make my starfish the crimson. So these are the raw wood, and they paint like super easy with the chalk paint and fast. And I'm just going to go over all of those with my heat gun and speed them up just a little bit. And set those aside, let them finish drying, and I can start working on my block signs and the patterns that I want to make. And so I am peeling off my star stickers. Now, the paint bled and kind of like they were kind of blobby, the stars, when I would pull them off the paper. And I was having to use my finger to break the extra paint off. That's the only part I didn't like about painting the stickers. But if you have patience, like, this is totally possible. Next time, though, I think I would use my Cricut. But the advantage of this is that I got the colors exactly right because I used the actual paint from the different signs. So I just did a kind of an alternating star pattern. Just kind of eyeballed the whole thing. And then I'm just going through with some of the ivory chalk paint to distress my red. And a baby wipe because I went a little too crazy with the distressing. And I probably should have distressed it before I put the stars on. But just getting that one the way I like it. Then some of the stars didn't really seem like they were down too well. So I'm just going to go over with a coat of this matte Mod Podge. And just to make sure that my star stickers stay down. And just giving that a start on the drawing process. Then I'm going to do the opposite. Well, first I'm going to distress it first to see if that works better than what I just did. And so I'm actually just distressing the ivory with the agave. And I think those look good together. And that's nice and complementary. And I'm going to use the star stickers that I painted crimson. And I am going to do the same pattern that I did on the other side, where I'm just going to do the four corners in the centers and between those, and then fill in the alternate spaces. Just kind of like a flag where the stars kind of alternate where they're located. And same thing that happened with my white stickers. There was like tons of extra paint that I was pulling off the sides to make sure that I got my nice pointy star look. That was probably the only obstacle of painting the stars was the extra bleed. I don't know if I would have used acrylic paint or a different kind of paint if there would have been less bleed, but it worked. And here I am just finishing up that pattern of my white with red stars. All right, using my little ladybug there, and I'm just going to go in again with a coat of Mod Podge to make sure those star stickers stay down. And the red paint did flake off those a little bit, so I was getting a little bit of mess there on my white, but nothing I can't fix. Okay, so here is my last block, my agave, and I'm just going to do stripes. Now my painter's tape is way too wide for these little blocks to do stripes, so I thought it would be fun to do just maybe like pin stripes. Who says the stripes have to be the same size, right? So I'm going in with that ivory chalk paint and giving stripes, and then while I'm at it, I'm just distressing the sides of my agave blue sign with that white. A little too hard on that side. And just fixing that and giving my stripes a good dry. And then I'm going to go in with a second coat of the ivory chalk paint to make sure that my stripes are nice and bright. And drying that with my heat gun and pulling off my painter's tape to give me some nice clean stripes. And then of course I want to distress that because that's what I do. And then my baby wipe to wipe off the excess. And I really like how these turned out. The colors are super complementary. They're all different. They all coordinate really well. They look really good where I put them. And here I am cleaning up that little red paint speckle mess that I kind of had. And now I'm trying to decide what to do with my little wood creatures. Of course, I got to distress it, so I'm going to distress the white with the blue on my turtle. And I'm going to distress the crimson with the ivory. I just tried to pick colors that I thought would look good distressing, and the agave with the ivory as well. And then I'm looking for my white paint pen because I want to go in. The starfish had little circles on it, a little pattern, and I thought that would be cute to bring that out with a paint pen. And that is what I'm doing. I'm just going in and making little circles with my paint pen. And I'm glad I did that. It really brought out a lot of fun texture and interest on the starfish. And I'm going to kind of do like the white on red, the red on blue, the blue on white. And for maximum contrast, just making sure everything is good and dry. And again, the red speckles, I'm just trying to touch that up with a little bit of the ivory chalk paint to fix that. And that one will have my little blue seahorse. I'm not sure if they're totally dry yet though, so I'm not going to sit that one on there yet. Okay, it's time to attach them, so I'm just going to use hot glue, and I'm going to hot glue down my little sea turtle onto my red sign. Make sure my starfish is good and dry before I touch it. I don't want to mess up my paint on that. And I'm just going to use hot glue to hot glue down my starfish. And this project did take a while just because of all the painting. But I love how they turned out. I think they're so cute. And I'm going to glue down my little seahorse. And there we have it. All done with my little nautical patriotic decorations. So cute. Okay, final reveal time. Here is my textured flag. I love it. It's actually really big. That's like a really big shelf on my display there, and it filled up almost the whole thing, and I think it looks fantastic. And here is my Uncle Sam Gnome. He is the cutest, and he's rather large. I love him. So cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, and here are my little shelf sitters with my sea turtle and my starfish and my seahorse. And I think those look great next to my little textured flag. And oh, I'm having so much fun with these decorations. If you haven't got a chance to like, please like the video and then subscribe. Until next time, bye.